Hello there, welcome to my review of the Rockford Files, Season 5, Episode 1, Heartaches of a Fool, written by Stephen Cannell and directed by William Wyatt. The episode begins with Rocky's truck being driven off the road by some goons, as he is listening to country artist Charlie Strayhorn, whose singing voice is provided by an uncredited and unmistakable Willie Nelson.
And the good life he promised ain't what she's living today.
They drag Rocky from the wreckage before setting fire to his cargo, the aforementioned Charlie Strayhorn's Cripple Creek hickory smoked country sausage, a clear nod to country singer Jimmy Dean, who himself launched a successful sausage company.
New Jimmy Dean Fresh Taste Fast Sausage.
Also, if you're an A-Team fan, you'll notice the truck crash footage was reused in the episode West Coast Turnaround by the ever-resourceful Cannell. Not his most shameless reuse of footage for that series, though. So I don't blame you if you missed it. Rocky's rushed to hospital, but is largely fine, arguing with the cops over his age and whether that was responsible for his crash, and not the cars blocking his route.
68. A little old for the big rigs, aren't you, sir?
With the threat of having his licence pulled causing Rocky great distress, and the cops not believing his story, it's up to Jim to clear his name. Jim checks in with the truck's owner, Roland Eddy, who is acting very suspicious, eventually revealing the sausages were actually smuggled in from Mexico, but he has no idea why.
I don't know who they are, I just answer the telephone.
This is a very cleverly written opening that would have likely seemed quite insignificant for us and Jim had it been anyone else behind the wheel of the truck. Using Rocky as the catalyst gets us both emotionally invested, and so when the relatively trivial, almost comical matter of smuggled sausage is at the centre of the drama, it seems much more serious. While Rocky has his licence investigated and his union membership cancelled, Jim continues to investigate. But seeing his father slip into a depression, he reassures him that he won't rest until he clears his name.
Come on, Dad, I'm going to find that plant.
And it's a very touching moment between two men, neither of whom are of a generation where you talked about your feelings. Noah Beery, in particular, gives a fantastic performance in these scenes of a man with the weight of the world on his shoulders. After seeing a commercial for Strayhorn's sausages on TV, Jim decides his only course of action now is to question the one man who might actually have some answers, Strayhorn himself, who we then cut to in a business meeting as his accountant tries to fiddle his taxes. We also find out his wife Carrie, played by our Columbo connection Lynn Marter, who appeared in Uneasy Lies the Crown, is divorcing him, seemingly amicably. Jim arrives and confronts Strayhorn about his Mexican-made, all-American sausages, and why he's smuggling them. Strayhorn claims ignorance, but Jim isn't taking that for an answer, and they get into a fistfight, broken up by the more reasonable, soon-to-be ex Mrs. Strayhorn.
Charlie, get away from here! Stop it, Charlie! What?
Strayhorn jumps in his truck, with Carrie and Jim joining him. Jim eventually getting him to take them to Eddie's, only to see him getting kidnapped.
What are you doing? Where are you taking me?
While this all happens perhaps a little too conveniently and quickly to perhaps be 100% convincing, the lighter tone that the Strayhorn character brings gives the episode a little more leeway to be truncated and helps keep the pace up. Strayhorn certainly appears to be honest as he reassures Rocky he will get to the bottom of whatever's going on, and he'll pay Rocky's hospital bill. And despite their shaky start, even Jim has come around to liking him.
Yeah, the problem is, I kind of like him.
We then see the Strayhorns deal with the emotional baggage of a divorce that Charlie clearly doesn't want, and maybe Carrie doesn't either. It reinforces that Charlie isn't going to be the surprise villain of the episode, but also gives it even more emotional heft than what we've already had. They both want a simpler life, but Charlie's solution is to run away, while Carrie would prefer it if he ran to her, or at least had done before it became too late.
You want to prove who you are and grow all your roots in 18 months.
Meanwhile, Jim gets attacked by a man using martial arts against him and has to defend himself with some kung fu, leaving him thoroughly confused by the whole affair. Resting in his trailer, he's awoken by a drunk Strayhorn, who thinks he has the answer to the sausage question.
Clement said they were having trouble getting a direct railroad from Cripple Creek.
But while Strayhorn buys it, Jim doesn't. So Strayhorn offers to fly them both to the Arkansas plant he thinks his sausages come from, on his private jet. Obviously, there's no factory, but they do find the body of a dead man, the second Chinese man Jim has encountered in the last 24 hours. And the guy who manages the Strayhorn sausage empire, Clement Chin, also happens to be Chinese.
His name's Clement Chin. He's Chinese. Oh, I love it. I just love it.
This is a bit of a silly way to tie these clues together, but I think it gets away with it down to a certain naive charm on behalf of the writing, where Cannell clearly wrote in the attack because he believed that Jim encountering 2 Chinese men over the course of the story wouldn't be suspicious. But 3 different Chinese men? Well, that is inconceivable. It just feels like a clue too far though, because the next logical step for the pair would be to go see Chin anyway. He's the man who set up the business and has already lied to Strayhorn about it. Back in LA, they do just that. They confront Chin, who admits the setup is phony and entirely illegal, but also tells them he's in the triads, and quickly leaves, along with everybody else in the restaurant, only to warn Charlie that it's about to be hit. So Jim grabs the name of their food distributor and they leave, and this all happens just a little too fast. I know this episode is moving at a brisk pace, but in the matter of a few minutes we get to the bottom of the entire sausage mystery, learn it's the Chinese mafia, find out they're in the middle of a gang war, and find out where a triad base is, only for Chin then to get kidnapped by his own driver and be held hostage by the head of the truckers union because he wanted to be cut in on all the smuggling. Oh, and they are also holding Roland Eddy at the plant and plan to kill him too. It's a lot. Jim and Charlie save Eddie and Chin, going in guns blazing, and in the process save Rocky's license. Well, wow, this episode is a lot. From Willie Nelson opening and closing the episode in song as Carrie and Charlie drive off into the distance, Rocky's injuries, Mexican sausage smuggling, 1 murder, 2 separate kidnappings, the triads, a gang war, a crooked union boss, a marriage on the rocks, a country singer with tax problems, and most of that being crammed into the last 5 minutes, it feels a little overstuffed and climax heavy. There are more than enough ideas here for at least 2 episodes, maybe 3, and while for the most part it manages to juggle all these ideas well, it's the last 5 minutes that I have an issue with, where things start to get a bit too much. There's no question it's a fun episode with some brilliantly written character scenes, but from the moment they get back to LA, it all feels a little rushed. I understand using the triads rather than falling back on the Italian mob again, especially if they're in opposition to the union boss, but there's really no need to have them mentioned at all. Chin could have just been a crook, and it would have changed nothing. If he had just fled the restaurant, with Jim noticing the grocery company as he flees, rather than it to be to do with a gang war, it would have served the same purpose, but without bombarding us with all of this additional story information. It's still got some great moments though, and Charlie Strayhorn is a great new character and forms a formidable team with Jim. So for me, this one is a 4 out of 5. Thank you. Goodbye.